go.
Good morning. Welcome to the Hooking Up and Tracking Down show. It's 11:30 The Tiger. Gary McCoy, along with your Ranger Pro staffer, Iowa Pro staffer Steve Graff. Mike Eccles is also in the house, Steve Graff. And this segment is brought to you by Cypress Knee Outdoors, Coastal Conservation Association, Louisiana Charter Boats, and the Red River Waterway Commission. And one of the things we wanted to kick off the show today with is to remind you we've really got a pretty cool prize that's up for grabs with our Hooking Up and Tracking Down Bass Classic or Bass Masters Classic Champion Contest that we're conducting on the Facebook page.
Yeah, we are, and it's a great promotion. It's an opportunity to win over $500 cash and prize.
Free entry.
Free entry. Doesn't cost you a dime. All you got to do is go to our Facebook page, and like Gary alluded to, just scroll down till you find. Matter of fact, I'll try to post it to the top of the page. I'll try to relocate it.
I was really proud of my boy, Chad Kelly. Because Chad jumped in there and he picked somebody. Then he had his wife pick somebody. Then he had his daughter pick somebody. He had his son pick somebody. I'm like, yeah, that's the way you play the game, right? You know, hey,
yeah, family attack it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You know, and I encourage everybody to get together like that. You know,
exactly. And but anyway, just pick a winner, and you can only enter one time per person. And pick one winner and who you think's going to win. If there's more than one that has actually selected the right angler, those names are going to hat. We'll draw it live right here on the show the following Wednesday after that, and we'll make sure you get your prize package. And it's a great package. It's got everything from Spro, Gamakatsu, hooking up and tracking down gear, Lucas Oil detailing kit from Steven Johnson and Lucas Oil. Good gosh, $300 cash. So heck, man,
who do you think is going to win?
I tell you,
if somebody were jumping on our Facebook page right now, which is Hooking Up and Tracking Down, if somebody were jumping on there right now and they said, you know what, I'm going to go with Graff. What Graff said, it would be.
I'm not a big fan, but I think Edwin Evers is due. That guy's a great fisherman, a great angler, and he's from Oklahoma. He knows that body of water really well. If I had to pick a guy, I'm going with probably Edwin Evers.
Mikey?
I hadn't even thought Edwin, but as much as I hate to admit it, Graff. Well, I'm not.
That's not a bad.
I'm not going to admit it. I'm going to go with somebody. Who's the kid?
Jason Christie.
Jason Christie.
He's another local.
Because it's going to be at a time of the year when they're not pinned down.
Right.
It's going to be.
Good point.
You know, it's not going to be like
a little bit of first-hand knowledge is going to help.
Deep water. I think you're going to have some knowledge, and you're going to have to be able to change every day.
Right.
Yeah.
So right.
I'll go with him.
I have to agree with you. That's my pick to begin with. Was Jason Christie.
That makes two of us right.
Yeah.
Two of you are probably wrong. Probably all three of us are wrong.
Well, you never know. I mean, it's one of those situations.
There's always a dark. And I'm going to tell you somebody.
Who's the dark horse?
You better not forget about Albert Collins. That dude is a stick. Now, he may not be fishing the Elite Series, but I know what he's capable of doing. He's done well in Oklahoma in the past.
Okay.
He's done well up there.
We had him on the show, 2 weeks ago?
I might have picked Jason Christie, but I'll pull for Albert.
Oh, ain't no doubt.
Yeah.
I'm definitely pulling for Albert.
What a neat guy.
Yeah, we're hoping that happens.
Okay, make sure you jump on there. Of course, our website, which we've got a link to our Facebook page on there, HUTD, that's hookuptrackdown.net, HUTD.net. Jump on there and
does that start next week? The
Classic? Yeah. What is it, Thursday?
Wednesday. Thursday is when they start official first day.
Yeah.
And I'm going to promote something here, and we don't get nothing for doing this, but I will be glued during Thursday, Friday. I will be in front of my computer. You can watch all day long the Bassmaster Classic on. They've got cameras on every single boat out there. You can pick the angler you want to watch. I mean, it's incredible the coverage that they have for the Classic now.
Yeah.
If you're not doing that, you need to do it. It's fun
I
to
have
do.
a favor to ask of you.
Okay.
Now, this is just when you find out, exactly where I go. I mean, you've got it up on your page.
Yeah.
Can you copy that link and put it on the Hooking Up and Tracking Down page so that any of us who don't have time to navigate through all of the classic pages and stuff like that?
Well, there's only one classic page, but yeah, I can do that. I'll post
if you put it on the Hooking Up and Tracking Down, I can find that.
Yeah.
And then we just click that. That way it'll open up, and then we can pick a boat that we want to look at or stuff like that, or see the weigh-ins and things of that nature.
You are a little slow.
Hey, I'm from Blanchard, man. I live in Houghton, you know.
Well, I tell you what, that gives us an idea. Let's get somebody. I'll call Chris Bowes with Bass, and let's try to get somebody from BASS next week on the show.
Well, guess who we got on the show next week? The General, Larry Nixon.
Will be on with us again.
Will be on with us next week
Oh,
to talk
good.
about the Classic because he's
Yeah.
not in it.
Yeah.
So we're going to get a really great fisherman's perspective as to who we can really probably anticipate.
Well, you know what I want to know from him is what's the mindset of the average angler that's out there right
Exactly.
then. I mean, you know, what are they going through? They're
would
down
like
to the
to-
last practice day.
Yeah, I want to make it a 2-segment interview with him next
Yeah.
week. There's so much we can talk about with the Classic with Larry Nixon. It's ridiculous. So.
I just wonder when you get into a situation like that, if you have not found fish, you know, and you've started Classic competition, how often is it that you find fish on tournament day? You know, how often, and if you found fish, you know, protocol. I mean, you know, when I get there, there's another boat that's already fish. We found these same fish. How do those guys? Because they're talking about
what if you never find them?
Well, but I mean, you know, if
Well, I know where you're going to finish then.
Exactly.
but I mean,
At the
you know,
bottom.
how do they handle it as you know, the best anglers in America or in the world for that matter? How do they handle it when all of a sudden, you know, they've got a really confined amount of space? They've both found fish, you know, separately. And one wasn't just following the other. You know, this one is just as entitled to that one, but this one got there first. How do they handle that situation?
The biggest question in my mind would be, you're a nobody, and Kevin Van Dam is on your spot where you have found fish and you had no clue Kevin Van Dam was on it. Do you leave him alone because he's Kevin Van Dam and you're a nobody? Or do you just ride off and try to find more fish somewhere else, or do you fish it with him? That's the dilemma, because you know that's probably happened with some of these no-name people that are in the class.
You'd have to know what the rules are, and I'm going to tell you, you know, I ain't scared of nobody.
Well, I'm just telling you, that would be, it would cross your mind. Oh, dang. Freaking Van
Oh, well,
Dam's
sure
on this
it
one.
would. It would cross your mind if it was
Do
another nobody.
I honor Kevin Van Dam and him maybe say, hey, I really appreciate Steve Graff giving me the spot. You know, he pulled up on it, and you know, but which he probably ain't going to do.
I've got
anyway.
my what would you do for next week,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, you can't do. We already know it now. You can't do that.
The results of the H&W event on Cross Lake, kudos to my boy now. He is on fire
Well,
this year.
Randy's the boat captain. I just was along for the ride, and but we had a good day. We
You've picked two really good partners this year.
I really have. I know how to pick my partners, brother. I have something I could say, but I'm not going
McCoy
to say
didn't
it.
do that.
I won't say nothing.
Just kidding.
Yeah, we got to play around.
Okay. Benji Dumas, congratulations to Benji and Chris Alexander. They had a good sack of 20.79 for this event. Jerry Hester and Mike Bedgood, another really good team out there, finished with 15.71. If you know, it's a pretty good drop-off, almost 5-pound drop-off right
Yeah.
there, a little over 5 pounds.
In the Boss tournament, it went from 24 down to 15.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
Wow.
it was a 9-pound drop, 7-pound drop,
I didn't
something
realize
like that.
that.
Yeah.
It might have been 17. I
Okay.
don't remember, but,
Yeah.
but drastic.
But I mean, it was huge.
Yeah.
And as you've alluded to, Randy Fair and myself, we finished third with 14.97. Wesley Chase and Brian Hope finished with 14.09 for fourth. And Ben McCormick and David Bricks finished fifth with 13.37. So, again, guys, y'all been on Cross Lake. Mike, you've been out there. Gary, you've been out there. What is the deal out there?
I've not been on the lake this year because of
Just fishing
pressure.
tournaments and yeah.
It is
not
it's
being-
ridiculously tough right
What
now.
has surprised me, this is two big tournaments in a row, and Big Bass still 6-something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of makes
Jeremy
you wonder.
Botica 2 weeks ago called a 10:41 out there in practice,
Yeah.
but that's it. You know, you hear rumors of some big fish, but
Are we rushing the lake? Is it just not right yet? Are we thinking it should be
Cross
right?
Lake is always a little slow. But you know, how many giant fish have you heard on cattle caught yet? And we've already had a spawn. We have had a February
I do believe
spawn.
that.
Yeah.
I do.
Fact, you know, there's fry. It's happened. But I mean, I don't know.
Where have you found water clear enough you can see fry?
They saw him on Bistano.
Okay.
Tommy Brown saw it, and it's still a lake, same water temperature,
Yeah.
one of his lakes over there Sunday evening.
Wow.
Tommy, when the wind quit blowing,
Yeah.
he never saw him until the wind quit blowing, and they were fry everywhere.
Really?
Yes.
Now, you want to hear something really good? Toledo Bend shined last weekend. 31 bags over 20 pounds.
Good God.
31 bags over 20 pounds.
Now this, which one was this?
This is the Texas Tournament Trail, which is a next to Bass Champs is the biggest thing going over in Texas.
What did it take to win?
First place was 32:01. James Dutton and Alan Fitz. I have no idea where they're from. I didn't know. Joe Satina, he's from Pittsburgh, Texas. I know Joe and Aaron Walker. They were fourth with 27:34. Now think about that. You catch 27 pounds, you come in fourth.
Wow.
I'd been one ticked off dude right there.
Wow.
But the money is outstanding. You know, first place was a Stratus 189 19-foot boat with Evan Reed 150 on it, $3,400 cash as well. So it's a great event, and they draw. I'm telling you, this circuit is really doing well along with Bass Champs. It is the two best things going over in Texas right now. And so if you're looking for something really good to fish, but I was amazed at the number of fish. It took over 18 pounds just to get a check.
Wow.
So that's incredible. But anyway, congratulations to all
You know
those
what?
guys.
Now you think about it. You and I fished down there, and we had what, 13 and a half pounds with two fish.
Our best five would have been 22, 23 pounds.
Yeah, but I mean, we had, and these guys, you know, honestly, the conditions had to be better. It was warmer at this point.
Well, my point was they're on the bed. A lot of these fish, according to Cole Garrett, were picked off beds this past weekend at Toledo Bend. And south end of the lake, my buddy, former teammate of mine, Brett Hortman, was over for 3 days, fished the south end of the lake, buck bass, beds everywhere, and all they had on them was buck bass on the south end of the lake. So the females just hadn't pulled up on the south end yet.
Right.
Or
they blew and gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, could be. He didn't see any eggs, he said, and Brett knows what he's looking for, but he just act like he said.
What did Cole do? Did he fish that?
No, Cole ended up over there with us. His partner backed out on him, so he was going to fish it.
Real quickly before we run out of time, there was a deadly boating accident.
Yes.
On Lake Conroe, and obviously our thoughts and prayers with everyone involved with this. I saw a picture of that boat, and all you'd have to do is see the boat and know this was not good.
It was bad, and we're going to play that real quick. This is the interview with the sheriff's department over on Lake Conroe. We'll let him tell the story.
Okay, first of all, name.
My name is Rusty Fincher, Rusty. Last name is Fincher, F like Frank, I-N like Nancy, C-H-E-R. I'm employed by the Montgomery County Constable's Office, Precinct 1.
Tell me what you got out here.
Today we have about 7:50 this morning, approximately 7:50. We had two boats collide. This is in the midst of a fishing tournament. The boats tried to yield in the proper way and didn't think the other one was going to yield, so they swerved back and forth and collided.
Basically, it looks like it hit pretty good, almost right up over the bow of it.
They estimate each one of them was going approximately 45 miles an hour, so combined 90 mile an hour hit.
And occupants on each boat, how many?
I believe there was one on each boat.
Okay, and one fatality?
One fatality.
Okay, and the other boat, are they driving the other boats fine?
Yes, the other boat's on land and he's fine.
Do we have an age on the victim of the fatality?
I do not yet.
Okay. So, Lake Patrol investigating it, or?
Our Lake Patrol is investigating this, and this will go on sometime. An autopsy has been ordered. We'll know a little bit more after that, and after the investigation is finished, and we sit down and look at the witness statements and see exactly what went on.
30 seconds. Kind of first time, it's been a long time they've had a wreck like this in the lake.
It really is. I mean, this is something unusual, and this is another instance where we can just really urge people that are on the boats in the water to please obey all of the inland navigation laws, and just we want everybody to be safe. We want everybody coming up to Lake Conroe and having a good time, whether they're fishing or swimming or skiing, and it unfortunately can turn tragic sometimes.
And you know what? All three of us were there during a boating accident on Caddo Lake a number of years ago.
Yeah,
and it never ends well. So thoughts and prayers with those people, and adhere to everything that the constable's office there was saying.
Well, Mike also alluded to there was one on Toledo Bend, an accident that's taking place, and we was it one or two guys, Mike?
It was two.
It was
two gentlemen in a boat, and I'm not really sure. I think they fell out of the boat, but I'm not positive.
Point being, they had no life jackets on supposedly, and that's why it's important, this time of year.
Yeah, Jock Cousteau just called me. Jack Rothell just called me and said he can't believe I could see fry on Bistano, but I can't find my duck line.
That's wrong.
Yeah,
hey, sit tight. Mark Ginnert, the national director for the Bass Federation, is calling up here in just a sec. We'll talk high school state bass fishing championship. That's coming. Hooking up and tracking down 11:30. The Tiger.
This segment presented by Daiwa Rods and Reels, Bayou Outdoor Supercenter, Toledo Fiberglass, and Candyman Pet Lodge. Now back to Steve Graff, Gary McCoy, and Mike Eccles, and the greatest circus on earth.
3 rings for sure, that 3-ring circus. Gary McCoy, the old mud hen Mike Eccles, and Mr. Ranger Pro Staffer, Daiwa Pro Staffer Steve Graff. Speaking of that, another one of the great sponsors here, Santone Lures.
Tried looking for a bait company that's innovative with a history of success? Then you're looking for Santone Lures of Mount Pleasant, Texas. Weekend anglers and Elite Series Pro Matt Herron can attest to Santone's creativity and the number of victories Santone has been responsible for. Check out their entire line of jigs, spinnerbaits, and their newest products, the Reb Stick and the S3 Stroker Swim Bait at SantoneLures.com, along with their awesome line of promotional items. Santone Lures, setting a higher standard for catching fish.
One thing I want to bring up too, Gary, about that last tournament on Toledo Bend, the Texas Tournament Trail.
Yeah.
It's a team event.
Right.
192 limits were weighed in.
Wow.
I just looked, that's the first time I noticed
That's
that.
1,000 bass right there.
I'm like, 192 teams had a limit.
Yeah.
That's how good the fishing is at Toledo. So
Wow.
it's incredible.
I'm in.
Yep.
I know where I'm going Saturday.
Well, let's introduce this next guest. We got Mark Ginnert, the National Director for the Bass Federation High School Bass Fishing Championship, which will be taking place in Louisiana High School State Bass Fishing Championship will take place at Sibley Lake in Natchitoches, March the 26th. And, Mark, are you with us?
Yes, sir, I am.
Well, Mark, how you been doing? I hadn't talked to you in quite a while, and, I know you're on the road this time of year putting on tournaments. What's going on with the TBF?
Yeah, I am doing fantastic. Thanks for asking. And yes, we are quite busy. We've got a full schedule of state and national championships to run this year, probably around 40-plus high school state championships, 5 national opens, 5 conference championships, a high school national championship, and our granddaddy of them all, the high school world finals. And so we're getting geared up. I just got back from Lake Hartwell and Anderson, South Carolina. We had our early bird open up on Lake Hartwell over the weekend. Had 79 teams from 4 different states show up to fish. That was an exciting event, and the weather helped us out a little bit. And so we're happy to be kicked off and ready to roll for 2016.
Mark, what's the average rate of, now that you've had some history now over the last 5 years, 6 years you've been doing this, what's the rate of increase that you're seeing in percentage-wise of overall with high school bass fishing?
Yeah, for us, and we look at our events over a 5 or 6 year average here, they grow at a rate, just depending on the state, but somewhere between 15 and 20 to 22% a year. It's just a constant, steady growth. I held an open championship up there on Lake Russell, which is just south of Anderson, a couple of years ago, and I think we had a 57, 58 boat field, and here we were just cracking 80 last weekend. So that holds pretty much true. The same with our high school world finals. We watch those numbers each year, and typically it's in that 15 to 20% range. Some states, Texas, for example, growing at a very rapid rate. Other states, like up in New England, a little bit slower. But overall, everything continues to grow and be positive, and does nothing but create great opportunities for high school students.
But Mark, this is Mike Eccles here, and thank you for being with us. Name another facet, another form of tournaments, or any other entity in the fishing business that is growing at 20% a year.
There's none.
You can't.
And there's none. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to be on the speaking docket for the ASA Sportfish Summit this year, which is going to be in New Orleans, as a matter of fact, in October. And my presentation is going to be about the growth of the high school fishing and the youth fishing industry. How come all of a sudden these numbers have had a spike and everybody's scratching their head wondering why? Well, I can tell them why. It's pretty simple. It's high school and college fishing. There's a great increase in the growth of anglers for the first time in 25 years in that 16 to 30-year-old age group. And people are wondering why it's happened. Well, it's pretty simple. We've got 20,000 high school anglers in the Student Angler Federation, and there's a couple other organizations that are working just as hard. So that's just a great growth and a great, in my mind, a great influx into the fishing industry.
Mark, if you were painting an overall or putting together an overall resume for high school bass fishing, who would you say, are there any examples that these other kids can look to, other former high school competitors who have now made it possibly through the collegiate ranks and possibly are touring pros? Do you have any of those names in your hip pocket?
Yeah, we've got some that were right on the crust, because if you look at them now, we've been running state championships for about 6 years. So if a kid started with us maybe when he was a junior or senior, they're just starting to migrate their way through. I was at the one of the Florida Rayovac events just a few weeks ago, and lo and behold, I got there's a half a dozen or 10 kids fishing the co-angler side that we had in our high school ranks. And so that number's starting to go. But if you take a look just a little farther back, you can look at Jacob Wheeler. Jacob Wheeler started in our TBF junior program. That was before we had high school fishing. And he came on just as college fishing was starting to emerge. And here he is at 21 years old a few years back, and he wins the Forrest Wood Cup. And he's spoken at our events and banquets several times. But he's a great example. We've got a couple young guys in college right now that are making a name for themselves. A young angler at the Bethel University in McKenzie, Tennessee, named KJ Queen. He and his sister, basically were I tell people, were the poster children for high school fishing out of North Carolina. Came to our high school world finals, got the club started in North Carolina. KJ finished 17th in the BFL All-American as a 17-year-old kid. Went on to win our high school national championship, and now I just saw the other day he won a big event on the college trail. And so he's another great example of a guy that's just propelling his way through the system and getting in. And then we've got a young high school kid fishing the FLW Tour out of Kentucky named Dalton Cooksey, who kind of took the leap of faith and went through the whole high school program we have in Kentucky, which is sanctioned by their High School Athletic Association, and made the jump right to the FLW. He went to work and he said, I'm going to make it or break it right off the bat. And he's in his second year on the FLW Tour as a a 19, 20-year-old kid. And so we're starting to see more and more of that, especially on the co-angler side, coming through. And I think that's only a great thing for all of us.
Well, there's two guys I want to ask you about, Jordan Lee and Matt Lee, fishing the Elite Series as of right now. Did they come through the high school bass fishing ranks as well?
I met the Lee brothers. Basically, I think they might have been on the tail end of their senior year in high school, but I was familiar with them in their college fishing. I'd been to several college events where they were at, and they were very, very kind to give back a little bit this year. Our Future Fisherman Foundation holds an auction every year, and they each donated a fishing trip to that auction, and I kind of follow those guys along, and they're doing just a fantastic job. But they're another great example of guys that got right in on the tail end of high school fishing, propelled their way through college, and are now at the pro ranks on the elite level.
One of the things I'm seeing right now, Mark, I fished the BFL tour and some of the FLW stuff, and I'm seeing more younger and younger co-anglers participating as the sad situation that we all know about. Dylan Lee from Natchitoches, Keith Poche's nephew, passed in a tragic accident, but he finished fourth on the pro side at Toledo Bend in a BFL with some really good sticks, and I think it's a testament to just how far along and how quickly these young anglers are coming along on that level.
Oh, and absolutely, and you need only to come to a high school event and just watch them in action. Take a boat and go out there and watch them. These aren't kids with Zebco 202s.
No,
these kids show up with better equipment than I've ever owned in my entire life, and their skill set is 100 times better than I could ever hope to be. And what I really like, and in fact, this is a great testament to the kids that won at Lake Hartwell. I asked him, I said, look, Dad, you come up here and pre-fish very much? And he said, no, we fish here once or twice a year. And I said, well, how did you determine where you're going to fish? He said, we learn how to do our homework. We study maps, we study our electronics, we study, where fish have been caught in the past at previous tournaments, and that's how we set our game plan. Now, who would have thought that a 16 or 17-year-old kid would have ever thought of that 5 years ago? And when these kids get on stage, that's the part that I like, because I preach a lot of angler marketing to them. These kids are phenomenal on stage. A lot of our adults could take a lesson on who to thank and how to promote their product in their schools and that sort of thing. And it's exciting for me.
Well, that what I really like about this whole thing is if you look at high school sports, what percentage of the kids have the ability to participate football, baseball, or basketball?
Small.
Very small.
Yeah.
What percent of the kids have the ability to get into high school fishing?
Pick up a rod.
Right.
Yeah.
Everybody.
You have opened the door, and you have offered a big field of kids the chance to be
competitive
and in a high school sport
and in a fellowship.
Yes,
that's the big thing for me.
Never would have happened before.
And a sport you can carry on for your entire life.
Yeah, I mean,
not just football and baseball. You're a limited window of opportunity with football and baseball.
One of the things that these kids are going to benefit the most is what I love the most. I love walking up to the scales with a huge sack of fish, but I love more than anything else just getting to see all of my buddies around the weigh in.
Yeah,
I wouldn't miss a weigh in just because I only had one. I just wouldn't miss it.
Right.
I want to take my shellacking just like anybody, and these kids are getting to do that.
Mark, tell us just real quickly before we take you off. The Louisiana High School State Bass Fishing Championship. Tell us who's going to run that event. Are you coming down or what?
No, we've got a great guy coming there named Chuck Phillips, who's worked a lot of events with me in the past, and Chuck will be coming down. He'll be bringing my trailer, coming on down. And he's excited to get started and run that event, and we'll have him all filled in on the details. And he is a real personable guy, and the kids are going to love him up on stage. And Chuck is excited to be coming.
What's the date of that?
March 25th and 26th. 25th is the practice day.
On Sibley.
Yes, on Sibley. It's Easter weekend.
Okay.
But Mark guaranteed me that's one of the best weekends they have all year because they pre-fish on Friday. They're out of school anyway.
Yeah.
They tournament on Saturday, Sunday. They're home for Easter. So it works out great.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So we encourage all the local area teams in the Shreveport-Bossier as well as statewide to come participate in this event. It was a great event last year in Natchitoches. It really was a great event. A lot of limits were caught last year. So looking forward to it.
Mark, where would someone go if we've got a young angler that's listening right now? Where would someone go to get more information on this? Hello, Mark. Oh, we lost him? Okay.
We lost Mark.
Who are the Lee brothers that you were
Matt and Jordan Lee.
Matt and Jordan Lee. Don't know them, but
I think did they?
We had one of them on.
But
We've had both of them on.
Were they the boys from what, Alabama?
Yeah.
Okay.
From Alabama.
That's what I thought.
But very few people know it. But Graff in high school dated the Lee sisters.
Really?
Really?
Ugg and Home.
Hook it up and track it down, 11:30. The Tiger.
If you need help, hang up and then dial.
Welcome back to segment 3, presented by Nichols Department Stores, J&J Exterminating, and Stephen Johnston Guide Service, the best fishing guide on Toledo Bend. You're listening to the Hooking Up and Tracking Down show. Take it away, guys.
Me and Topwater just hanging out with the boys.
Yeah.
Ugg and Home. Lee.
Lord. I swear,
That's
man.
an Eccles original.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
Hey, it is Hooking Up and Tracking Down, 11:30, The Tiger. And real quickly, because we got cut off with Mark a few minutes ago, he wanted us to mention that if you're looking for other information about some high school bass fishing, just go to highschoolfishing.org.
.org.
Yeah. Go to highschoolfishing.org. And speaking of that, Donnie Westmoreland and a number of guys around town have put together, including my brother-in-law, Mike Craig, have put together a tournament trail that will be for the high school anglers and the high school teams. And Brother Eccles here has donated his time. Again, you're always, I want you to know how much people appreciate you. Well, but he's donated his time once again to go host the first weigh-in of these tournaments. Y'all going to be on Cypress this weekend.
Cypress Lake, yeah. It'll be I can't remember how many of the schools. Bird, I believe, Captain Shreve, North DeSoto,
obviously Benton.
Yeah, Benton,
Nagata Central.
Yeah, they're supposed to be up there too.
Yeah,
six or seven of the high schools will have teams represented. They're looking for around 40 or 50 teams fishing on Cross Lake, Cypress Lake.
Yeah,
and each school will host a tournament. And this weekend it's going to be Mike Craig and them hosting from
Benton.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it will be up there at Cypress Lake. Looking forward to it.
And I think Donnie's with Captain Shreve. I think he's got the Captain Shreve.
Westmoreland, right.
So I assume that if someone were looking for more information, he'd probably be the best contact on that.
He would, and you got his number?
I got his number, 422-7726. That's Donnie Westmoreland. 422-7726. Call him if you got a high schooler that participates in one of those. They're going to have a number of tournaments. You could fish them all. That'd be the best way to do it. All right, our buddy Johnny Geis, the #1 guide on all of Lake Fork, the biggest big fish capital in the world, is on the phone. But we got a quick. No, we don't actually. We don't have a quick word from Daiwa.
We ain't got no quick nothing now.
Hey, Johnny, you catching fish?
Hey, the fish are biting finally. They woke up.
I was wondering with this full moon yesterday if all of a sudden you were starting to see some action.
They did. They showed up for us Saturday, and we went in a little spot, and boy, they were chasing. I said, man, what's this? I can't believe they're kind of on the nest already. But one little old pond, and it was loaded with them. We probably caught 25 in about 3 hours. It was fun.
Yeah, John, you sent me some pictures here. I'm showing them to Gary and Mike. What was the one fish looked like it's over 10?
No, it wasn't. It was a little over 7.5 pounds. We caught the first one about 6.5 on Cinco, and then I said, well, when we catch a big one, let's go out on some main lake points, throw jerk bait or swim bait. And we did that for about 30 minutes. Sure enough, he boats a 7.5 pounder. So it was a huge belly was just full. It just wasn't real long fish.
Johnny, you just brought up something that I think is a great point, and you, as being an angler who's on the water day in and day out, will be able to answer this as good as any professional out there. When it comes to color, like you mentioned the Cinco, if you were going to a body of water you've never been on before, first off, does the color matter? And if it does, what would be your go-to? You've never been here before. I'm going to throw this.
Most people go with me here pretty quick. I'm not much on a color. It's either shad colored, brim colored, or crawfish colored. And as long as it's in that range of what they're feeding on, I don't believe that's the most important. That's like fifth on the list of what I worry about is color. Now, if I'm getting beat with something, you better believe I'll get that color off. But
yeah.
It's not color to me. It's this time of the year. I was catching them on a methylate Cinco the other day. Now, why they're biting that color, who knows?
But right now, it's about protection. They're protecting the bed. They're on the defense right now. They're looking to lay eggs. So right now, I think a lot of times it's just about getting in front of one that wants to bite, right, or wants to protect.
It is, and finding the right water right now. We had just a very little bit of a spawn, and this weather doesn't knock down the temperature. I found some 64-degree water, and when the fish were real active for about a 3-hour period, and we caught them on a weightless fluke was main bait because there's a lot of moss, vegetation, and stuff to pull through, and they were actually blowing up. I could have probably caught them on a frog that day. Now Monday I go back in fairly similar. The water had cooled down. I pulled out a little bit and started throwing an old rogue, just an old orange belly black rogue, and twisting it on top of the water. Had 3 good big blow ups in there, so they're ready to bite. They're ready.
Johnny, when something happens like happened this week, the weather coming back in the process of the spawn, what does it do to the fish, and how does it affect the spawn? If a female is there trying to lay eggs, and all of a sudden the water temperature drops, does she abandon the nest?
I don't think they abandon it. I believe they just pull out. If you're fishing in the back end of a creek and there's some depth nearby, my experience has been they'll pull right to the edge of the creek. Now, this area that Glade Creek, very, very popular spawning area on Fork, is a lot of flats out there, so they don't have a lot of access to get out to 7 or 8 foot of water at all. They pull up to cover then. So all you got to do when it gets tight like this is pull up to the budded willow bushes and grab the flipping rod, and that's where they're going to be. They're just going to be buried up in it, in my experience.
But what I'm getting at is if the Mother Nature disturbs the spawning process, if they have to pull off of a nest if they were in the process of laying eggs or protecting them, does that have a detrimental effect on the overall success of the spawn?
I've seen that happen, especially on the first spawn. It goes in about 3 or 4 different ways. The first one can get blown out by high muddy water, and we did have some of that. We had rain all day yesterday, and I've actually seen the eggs, just disappear. You don't have the fry that comes out of them if they don't have long enough to incubate and to hatch out. But it will mess it up. But that doesn't mean those bass won't come back and hit it on the next full moon and spawn again. They still got plenty of eggs.
So your advice to somebody that might have been experiencing some of that same activity that you had this past weekend, there's fish up shallow, they're active. If you were one of those anglers that had gotten on that, and obviously water temperature is going to have dropped probably significantly in a couple of places, especially the shallower you get. But what you're going to suggest to that person is either A, if there's no immediate deeper water that's in a close proximity, then get up tight on whatever cover might be there, and that's probably where those fish are.
That and slow way down, because I think we all got a habit of wanting to get them like when they were chasing and biting. I couldn't get to the next spot fast enough. When it turns real cold and they get lethargic a little bit, you just slow down and pitch that beaver, jig, tube, one of those 3 baits right there into the thickest cover you can, and you're going to get bit. Bass Champ's coming this weekend on Fork. We'll probably have 300 teams, and there'll be a lot of people scratching heads on what happened to them because they were all over the lake last Saturday and Sunday, and I'm sure a lot of people found fish.
Okay, if somebody's wanting to get over and catch the biggest fish of their life, we're going to tell every one of them that that making a trip with Johnny Geis is the only way to do that. Best way to get hold of you, the website maybe, lakeforkbigfish.com, or is it to just call you?
Just either one, lakeforkbigfish.com, and click on the Facebook button at the bottom of the front page of the website. It goes right into my daily Facebook page. The number's there. It's 972-800-3882. 972-800-3882. Had a father brought his family over, had 4 young boys from 12 to 14, two of his and a couple of buddies, and one of them catches an 8-pounder. And those are the trips I like, when you can bring a kid. We're going to catch a bunch of white bass. That's what they want to do. But Dad said, hey, can we go up to the shallow cove and maybe see if the boys can catch a big one? I said, we can try. It's not too good, but I'll be darned if he can catch him with a big old 8-pound bass. So.
Wow. Hey, now, Johnny, you know what? You just brought up something. Let's just say that somebody was preparing for a bass tournament on Lake Fork. Are you a guy? Would you be willing to guide somebody, knowing that that they've got a tournament coming up, and you'd want to prepare them for that?
Absolutely. That's what I was doing Saturday, Sunday with the guy that sent the pictures on. He's neighbor, and they're going to do pretty well. But Fork being the slot, it changes things. We get more excited about catching unders than we do catching 7-8 pound fish because it's not over the slot. So you really focus with smaller baits, different techniques, and go little to catch 5, and then try to get lucky to catch 1 over.
Okay. LakeForkBigFish.com. Jump on there. You can call Johnny right there on his website. You'll see it right at the top of the page, and of course on the Facebook page. And you keep that updated all the time. And you show these pictures with your neighbor there. Was that like one of his better fishing days?
Oh no, he catches a lot of big fish, and in fact he caught the 2 big ones that day. And the next day I go with another guy, and I missed 3 giants. I mean, it just happened.
Wow.
Now, one thing I want to compliment, too, those of you that have – some people go out with the guys, they're usually in a regular standard bass boat.
Yeah.
Not with Johnny. You're in a – what is it, 22, 24-foot Ranger bay boat?
Yeah, it's a 23-foot Ranger bay, but in this day I was fishing out of the guy's Ranger regular 520 Ranger boat. We were, scouting around for him on the tournament. But
Right. So he could mark spot. I understand that. So,
but it's the boat's real comfortable to bring a larger group. So many people want to split the cost of a guide trip between 3-4 people instead of just 2 per boat, and it's just a niche market that's worked out real good for me. And everybody that fishes in it said, man, I don't even know I'm in that boat except it's got a lot of room in it.
Yeah, that's right. That's what I want to make sure everybody understands. You can bring 2 or 3 guys. You got plenty of room.
And you know what? And Johnny's not that kind of guy. He doesn't hate those fish so bad that he wouldn't take a break. If you want to take a break, go get something over at the store, go get a hamburger or something like that. He ain't scared.
Now, Johnny, when I
bow up and go get some.
When me and Gary and Mike come over together, of course, I'll be up front with you. They'll be in the back. We'll put them in the back.
It'll be the next time that the guy in the back of the boat just worked on you.
Graf will rear end you.
Well, that happened to me twice last week, and I got beat. And this one, I was really fishing. I mean, this was funsy trips, and the guy in the back of the boat just in his own boat reared me in his own boat. So, man, it can happen.
Yeah, it can happen.
Okay, give that phone number one more time, Brother Johnny.
All right, y'all give me a call. I got some good days towards the end of March on the next phone. It's 972-800-3882. Thanks, guys.
You betcha. Thank you, Johnny Geis. LakeForkBigFish.com, and you can look at Johnny Geis Fishing Guide Service on his Facebook page, and it's just constantly
we need
updated.
to take up one of those dates. Just us 3 take up one of those dates. Go over there and do a little bank fishing.
Which one?
I don't care. You
go.
Y'all tell me when you can. I can go anytime.
I'm ready.
So I need a date from you guys.
Okay, what day? Go.
Let's see here, March.
We'll worry about this while you're seeing what's going on. Hang tight. Our Iowa hot topic of the week that's on the way. Should all boat owners be required to take a safe boating course? We'll see what you think in just a minute. Let's hook it up and track it down. 11:30, The Tiger.
First love was Daisy Duke. jeans.
Welcome back. This segment presented by Ranger Boats, Toledo Bend Lake Country, Santone Lures, and Lake Fork Marina, the best resort on Lake Fork. Speaking of forks, put a fork in these guys because they are done. Here's Gary, Steve, and Mike.
Dude, all of a sudden I just realized, we were talking about Lake Fork Marina. That's where Tiffany's is.
Oh, yeah.
That cheeseburger.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I got to talking about Johnny just a minute ago, stopping for lunch, and I guess I'm just that hungry.
Wasn't that where we got the coconut pie, too?
Yes.
Oh, man.
They had a banana pie in there. I mean, lemon meringue pie, and some banana pudding.
Yeah.
Holy
man.
smokes.
Telling you.
Okay, our Daiwa hot topic of the week here in just a minute. First, quick word from Daiwa.
Every year, new rod and reels hit the market, but none have had the impact of the new Tatula series from Daiwa. These sleek yet lightweight reels have quality components built for durability and performance. Go to Bayou Outdoors, Toledo Town and Tackle, or Cypress Knee Outdoors to see everything Daiwa has to offer, or go to Daiwa.com, where technology and fishing all come together.
Okay. Daiwa hot topic of the week this week. Should all boat owners, and obviously in light of the fact that we just recently had the accident on Lake Conroe, fatality there. Toledo Bend, another incident there. Should all boat owners be required to take a safe boating course? Now, the youngest of us is Topwater. Yeah. And if Topwater if he's going to be out there even using a jet ski, he's got to pass his safe boating course.
Right.
Topwater, do you believe it's fair that you have to take a safe boating course and that we don't?
Oh, man. I do.
Okay. Why?
Well, I think you guys have been doing this quite longer than I have. Is it an age thing? Or
it's an age thing.
It might have
been that we never owned a boat before. But because we're in our 50s, we don't have to take the course.
Well, I don't like that then. I thought it was more like, since I've never even driven a boat or a jet ski, that
not based on that.
Yeah. Well, no, I'd say I wouldn't like that.
Yeah.
But I'd like it for everyone to have to take it.
I would like it for everyone who couldn't demonstrate the capacity.
Well, you know what else I would include in this course?
What?
Etiquette.
Yeah, but you know what?
You cannot
you
teach
can't
that or
regulate
mandate
etiquette.
it.
No, you can't do it.
You can't mandate it, but it would be nice if they understood like a certain distance to try to
Dude,
stay away from it.
Have you driven on the road lately?
No. Yeah, I can get road rage real quick.
There is a license for that. There are classes, and it still doesn't matter.
I'm waiting on the bazooka to come out on the front end that I can mount on the front end of my truck.
Yeah, buddy. So what do you think, Mike? Should everybody would you if all of a sudden, well, obviously you would, but would you vote that everybody be mandated to take a safe boating course?
Yes.
With etiquette.
Yes. And if you don't think that it's necessary, go here in the next couple of months. It won't happen right now. Go out to the Cross Lake Public Ramp on a Saturday or Sunday and watch people try to back in.
Jeez.
Yeah.
And unload a boat.
Yeah.
And these are people that, it happens every week. Somebody buys a boat for the first time, fully grown adult.
Yeah.
And and they leave the dealership with no idea how to get that boat off the trailer or back on it.
Yeah.
Well, to me, the place to do this is at the dealership when you buy your boat. There ought to be a video presentation that you have to watch on boating safety and how to launch, how to navigate. There ought to be a video about that to teach, and you have to watch this video and sign a sheet that I did.
Really?
Yes. Before you're allowed to leave with the boat.
They got that.
How many car delerships have they ever made you watch a video before you bought a car?
Yeah, but you got to have a driver's license to drive a car.
So
that means you had to pass
the
the test.
Yeah.
Wrong analogy, Mike.
Okay, now listen. All right, listen to.
It sounded real good until it came out of my mouth.
Y'all cool your jets for just a second, and I want you to think about this, because this is one of those situations. It's almost a what would you do. It is a what would you do.
We can't talk about the end.
No, I'm at the Port of Bistino. I've launched at the Port of Bistino. The white perch are biting crazily. Everybody and their brother is out there at the port catching white perch. Am I just nuts because I just slowly idle through those guys, and I navigate my way, because they're all fishing right in the middle of the channel.
Yeah.
While another guy, not 5 minutes behind me, just blows through them. Yeah, they're sitting in the boat channel. Was he discourteous? Was he within his rights to be able to do that? Or am I just old school and I just want to make sure I didn't? Obviously, the worst thing to do is just plow through them.
I got a difference of opinion there. Okay. I as a guy that has fished the channel a lot on Black Lake, what I really hate is when they shut down on top of me and create an even bigger wake. I would just assume you run by me. I don't care if you're within 30 feet of me. Run by me. Just go. I don't care. It's less wake. You're out of my way. You're gone. The people that shut down on top of you and create a massive, because most people don't do the dead idle speed. They do the idle with the
my foot would snap off the
plow.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
I can't stand that.
That's worse than, I just send you run by me. I'm serious. That's how I feel.
What about you, Mike?
Well, let me ask you that question. Obviously, you think you should idle through all these crappie fishermen.
I slowed down, took my foot off the hot foot, just idled on by. Obviously, it didn't move them at all.
Okay. You're fishing the boss tournament.
Yeah.
You've got to be in. You quit at 3. You've got to be checked in by 3:30. It's 3:28, and you're still 300 yards away down the channel.
That's on me.
Okay.
That's on me. I should have left my spot earlier.
But you didn't. Something happened. You took a wrong turn at the crow's foot and wound up and had to get back in the channel.
Yeah.
You lost 5 minutes. You're running late.
Yeah.
Are you still going to idle through those same boats knowing it's going to make you late?
I'm just not going to be late. I know what you want.
The battery didn't crank.
Okay, I can answer this. 95% of the teams are going to run through it.
Yeah.
That's how it is. Yeah. That's just the way it is.
Now,
you're right, probably not.
Yeah.
But that's how they're going to do it.
I think you've got the right to run.
You do.
When you're in the channel.
You do. You have the right. You do.
And if you fish the channel, you're fishing with the idea of knowing that boats can run by you. That's how I think of it.
If you decide to dig worms in the middle of interstate, you ought to expect traffic.
I have been in a situation in the government ditch on Caddo. Guys are fishing the government ditch, and I have watched boats literally, and I'm talking about, what's that ditch? Maybe 20 feet wide?
Yeah.
And I've seen guys literally blow right past them. To me, that's just wrong.
Yeah.
And I think they needed a safe boating course.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking.
I just think the dealership's a great place to do that.
What about as far as once a guy has already purchased a boat before, does he get like a pass that, it's good for life at that point, or do you have to have some renewed education?
I don't know. I know people that's got boats and they still ain't any better at operating one, even though they've had one. They're still horrible. Still can't drive.
I honestly think that
let's back that up to four-wheelers. There's more people hurt on four-wheelers than there are in boats or cars.
Amen.
I agree with that.
In proportion.
Yeah. And you think about this, especially in the light of the side-by-sides that came out a number of years ago. Nobody had ever been in a side-by-side before.
Right.
Nobody. It couldn't be just based on it. Nobody had ever been in a side-by-side.
Yeah, but that's one of the easiest things in the world to drive.
But you think about the fact that,
got seat belts.
But still, you can get in an incline with a side-by-side and on the side of a pond levee or something like that. And
no doubt.
You put yourself in a position, you
can roll that sucker.
You betcha.
Yeah.
And who knows what's next when it comes to the innovation, for the all-terrain vehicle.
Yeah.
So, a great point.
I do think that first-time boat buyers ought to have to take some type of safety course. I really do.
Regardless of their age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're 20 years old or you're 60 years old, if you've never backed the boat in, cranked it, pulled in back into a boat slip, run a check, you have no idea how to do it.
Yeah.
And that's not the place to learn the first time.
Right.
No, it's not.
That's one of the benefits of being one of the old guys like me. I'm over at Cross Lake, and I'm all by my lonesome, and I'm trying to get my boat out of the water, and the wind's just pounding everything there. And Billy Phipps pulls up, and he says, "Let me back that down for you. You run, jump in the boat." And I think that, after you've been around a while, you generally know somebody just about every ramp you go to. There's, you're never really by yourself.
Yeah.
And that's one of the benefits of being a tournament angler, for so long is that, just about.
Let me ask you a question. You're running on Caddo Lake, marked with poles. You meet an oncoming boat.
Mm-hmm.
What are you supposed to do? Which side are you supposed to pass each other on?
Well, you're supposed to be on the flag side of the channel marker.
No, you two.
Oh.
The two boats.
Yeah.
What is the legal way to meet each other? With them coming towards you on your left side like you do a car?
I always go wider to the right. That's what I do.
But what are you supposed
I
to
treat
do?
it like oncoming traffic like a car.
Yeah, I just move wider to the right.
I may be wrong, but I think that you're supposed to do it reverse according to Coast Guard rules.
Really?
I think so.
That the one
Because driver's facing driver?
Yes, like you're driving in England. I think that's right.
Wow.
I
That
didn't
ain't
know
going to happen.
I know.
We'll get somebody killed trying to do that.
We'll be playing chicken out there.
Yeah, I tried that one time. I spilled my beer.
Elite Series Pro Matt Herron is on the way. We got a preview of the 2016 Classic on Grand Lake. Also yet to come, our Toledo Bend report with Steven Johnston. We've got some really cool stuff there. And our Gamakatsu topic of the day. If you could buy or add any item to your boat, luxury or necessity, what would that be? We are hooking up and tracking down 11:30, the Tiger.
Oh, shoot. We didn't.
Welcome back. This segment presented by Ranger Boats, Toledo Bend Lake Country, Santone Lures, and Lake Fork Marina, the best resort on Lake Fork. Speaking of forks, put a fork in these guys because they are done. Here's Gary, Steve, and Mike.
Hey, thanks a lot for tuning in. Hey, thank you so much for tuning in, hooking up and tracking down. It's Gary McCoy, the Ranger Pro Staffer Steve Graff, and the old mud hen Mike Eccles here. And on the phone, Matt Herron, Elite Series Pro Matt Herron.
Not yet.
He's not here yet? Dadgummit, come on, Matt. He's gonna have to pony up. We're gonna have to fix that. I mean,
we lost him.
He dropped out. Okay.
Dropped.
I do want to remind you that we've got Stephen Johnston coming up here in just a few. And Stephen says that he can explain exactly why it is that Toledo Bend's on fire right now.
Yeah. Not only that, he's going to talk about fiberglass maintenance of your boat today a little bit with Lucas Oil products that he's got. So that's something that everybody needs to understand. These boats are high-dollar boats. Oh. You've seen my boat. It's an 09.
Yeah.
I take care of my boat.
You do take extremely good.
I really do.
Now, I will say this. If you ever decide to sell your boat, the care that you give a boat is way above and beyond the average angler out there.
I'm
going to tell you, you can command premium dollar for that. Does it cost you a little bit to maintain it like that? Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
A
lot of time and effort.
You get that back tenfold when you get ready to sell that.
No doubt.
So, Topwater's is he with us? Matt Herron, Elite Series Pro Matt Herron. We want you to talk about the 2016 Classic with us, Matt, on Grand Lake. Are you feeling good? Are you nervous? What's the scoop on that?
Man, I'm feeling good. I'm sitting up here in Oklahoma right now working in my camper, tying on bait, building everything in the world. I mean, you think about this tournament for months on end, and it sneaks up on you before you know it, it's all gone.
Now, when can y'all get on the water, Matt?
We start practicing Friday.
Okay.
We'll practice Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and then we're off Monday and Tuesday. We have BASS functions those 2 days, and then we have another official day of practice where we go out with media and observers on Wednesday, and the Classic starts next Friday on the 4th.
Let us climb inside your head for just a second, Matt. I mean, you have...
That might be a challenge.
That's a scary thought. Right?
Yeah, buddy. You never know what we might leave in there when we come back out.
Well, we did that graph one day, and there was so much echo. We
couldn't.
Hey, I've sat around a campfire with Matt Herron before. I know how his brain thinks. Okay.
All right. So, Matt, I mean, here you are. You finally are there. You're getting ready to start your pre-fishing Friday. You've done as much homework as you possibly can back home on topo maps and GPS coordinates, all that kind of. And you've got a game plan in your head. When you hit the water, there are those that would be of one school of thought that would say, stick with your game plan. Whatever you went out there, stick with that, work it out, grind it out, do that. And then there are those that would say, hey, you got to
fish the moment.
Yeah. What's Matt Herron thinking?
The only thing I really prepared for, the only thing I paid attention to coming into this Classic, it isn't topo maps, it isn't satellite, imagery. It's none of that because I've been to Grand. I fished the last Classic here, and I know the lake. I pretty much know all those details. The only thing I've done as far as preparation goes is prepare tackle and boats, try to make sure everything is top of the line, everything's ready to go. And I've kept up with the weather. I have basically monitored the weather in Oklahoma every day.
What is the weather right now?
Right now, it's brutally cold. It's not brutally cold, but it's about 48 degrees, and the wind's blowing about 30 out of the north.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we've got a major frontal passage, and everything's supposed to calm down. It's going to be really cold the first morning of practice. It's going to be about 25, but it's going to warm up into the mid-50s. And then Saturday and Sunday, we're supposed to get up in almost 70.
Wow.
Right. Now, how's the lake been fishing in the last month, Matt? I mean, has it been hot, been on fire, or has it been kind of laid back?
I really don't know. This lake's kind of weird. A lot of lakes, you can get online, you can see locals posting fishing reports and things of that nature, but for whatever reason, you just don't see all that on Grand. So you don't, and I really don't want to know.
Yeah.
But, I'll be honest with you guys. When I back my boat in the water, the first morning of practice, I'll take a look at the surface temp, and that'll be my first clue. I'll ride around a little bit and try to look at some watercolor, and then I'll start dissecting this thing and putting the pieces of the puzzle together, because the worst thing you can do in a Bassmaster Classic or any event that we fish really is come into an event with your mind made up what you're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
That's the kiss of death.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
You can't fish memories. You can't fish past. You need to fish the conditions, what's happening right now. And then you almost got to, because this thing's laid out over a 10 or 12-day period as far as when we start our practice to when we actually end the tournament.
Mm-hmm.
And we're looking at a major 7 or 8 day warm. We're supposed to be in the upper 60s with nighttime lows in the mid 40s, close to 70. So everything's going to start changing.
Mm-hmm.
And, you just really, it plays right into my hands because I do my best work when I fly by the seat of my pants and just wake up today and look at the water and look at the weather and go, I'm going to go try this and adjust, and that's the way I like to fish. That's when I do my best.
We asked one of our buddies, Johnny Geis, who's a guide over on Lake Fork. We asked him a little bit earlier his thoughts on color. When it comes down to your plastics, especially, how important is color? Or do you just stay with a basic black, or watermelon? I mean, how important is color?
I think there's about 3 color hues when you're bass fishing. As far as soft plastics goes, but the big thing is you got your blacks and you got your greens.
Yeah.
And people, I've had marshals get in my boat and they look in my boxes and they go, "Man, you ain't got nothing secret." I'm like, "No."
Right.
I'm like, I got excuse me, I got black and blue, black and red, green pumpkin, and watermelon red. Go fishing.
Yeah.
Amen. Yeah. Tie one on.
Exactly.
It's not those colors. There are times I've seen it make a subtle difference or something.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, those colors, they catch fishermen. They don't catch fish.
Yeah.
And in my world, I don't have time, and I don't have the storage space in my vehicle and in my boat to carry the mirage of colors that are available to anglers.
That's what Dion Hibden told me one time. He said, "Graf, I'd have to have a U-Haul trailer if I worried about color." See, every lake they got a hot color. He said, "Man, if I had every color, every hot lake we go to," he said, "Man, I would never." Now, let me ask you this, Matt. Grass. Does grass come into play at Grand Lake at all?
No, there's no station in Grand Lake.
Okay.
None whatsoever. It's just excuse me. It's been the old lake flooded up here. The weekend I left, I come up and pre-fished right before Christmas, around the second week, and then they had that major rain, and this lake flooded, and it got extremely dirty. I'm actually sitting 20 feet from the lake right now in my camper. I'm sitting there working in here, and I'm looking at it, and it looks like it's gotten a lot better as far as clarity goes, and it's back down to what they call normal winter pool. But I'm sure there's still going to be some areas that's still extremely stained up, but there's going to be some areas that's cleared up. So it's all going to be, you're going to have to take it in stride, and you're going to have to adjust every day.
One thing we did do a couple of weeks ago, we dove into the mind of Aaron Martins. Now,
that's a scary thought.
That's a very scary thought, trust me. Aaron had an analogy, or not an analogy, he had an idea that he thought this could be a really tough classic for this reason. No major winter to kill off a lot of the shad. Therefore, they're going to be so full and gorged there that the bass will be lethargic and may not be as many fish caught because of that. Any thought?
I don't go with that train of thought. The lake has been extreme.
Does anybody besides Aaron go with that train of thought?
Well, hey, look, man, the guys want how many LYs?
Yeah. I'm telling you, that's why,
I'm not going to argue with him, and the only way I could see it being an extremely tough classic is we're going to get such drastic weather changes between now and the event that it's really going to start moving the fish.
Yeah. Okay.
And, that could make them hard to keep up with from day to day. The other variable that's going to be involved in this classic, which is a good thing, but it's a bad thing. We're going to have if the weather holds, we're going to have extremely nice weather. And I truly expect the spectator traffic on this lake to be insane.
Oh, yeah, especially if you get that warm weather.
Yeah, I mean, if we're up in the 70s, I mean, because the last time, you had Ike and Ellie who had fits. You had Jason Christie who was really struggling to move around. Kevin was, guys were really struggling with the sheer number of boats. and it's kind of a blessing and a curse. I mean, it's what makes this thing great. It's the classic, and you want the fan participation and all that, and it's really a lot of fun to fish in front of a bunch of people. But on the other side of that, it creates a new set of challenges to deal with.
Is there just largemouth bass there?
I don't think there's any smallmouth. I think there's a few Kentuckys, but
I was wondering if you had spots and smalls.
Yeah, there's no smallmouth as far as I know.
Okay.
You talk about boat traffic, man. I remember last time when Cliff Pace won this event, he got real defensive, especially on the final day. I mean, he was almost rude to the people around him. Back off, people. I need y'all to back off. I'm trying to win, hundreds of thousands of dollars here.
I think there's a big difference in rude and firm.
Well, yeah, he was very firm. I mean, he left no doubt. I need y'all to back your butt up. So,
well, what happens? And I've been in that situation. What happens is folks don't realize when they start getting too close.
Right.
Because what's inevitable is, everybody's watching, and then all of a sudden everybody's in their own little group conversation, and boats are drifting, and everybody kind of loses. They're waiting on the guy to catch fish. So, there's kind of a lull, and everybody's kind of wandering. All of a sudden, their boats drift all over the guy trying to fish.
Yeah.
And it's almost, it's a tough spot to be in. I've been there, and you
have you ever had to get ugly?
Yeah. No, I've never had to get ugly. I've had to get firm.
Yeah.
Just pretty much say, please, man, back off.
Yeah.
You've got to back off.
Now, when a lake is off limits like it is right now, Matt, does that prohibit you from flying over the lake in a private plane?
Yes.
It does? Okay. I couldn't remember how that read. Okay.
Commercial flights only. I call that the Boyd Duckett rule.
Oh.
it got enforced when Boyd started fishing the tour. Because Boyd flies around his own personal jet. He's got somebody. He's got a pilot, and he flies in, and he has somebody drive his vehicles. These things. So they just kind of buzzed the lake before they landed wherever it happened.
The Boyd Duckett rule.
One story I heard about KVD.
Boyd Duckett rule.
Kevin Van Dam supposedly used the Marauder of boats that were following him as like a fence to protect the area he was in and to keep other anglers from actually coming in on him.
There's an art to manipulating a crowd.
They said he is the king at that. Isn't that incredible?
But Kevin's style helps him with that. But Kevin's not a guy that gets in the very backs of pockets and fishes super shallow. He's more of a main lake school fish kind of guy.
Yeah.
So boat traffic's not really that devastating to him. And he's able. I mean, that's the reason why he's been so successful and done the things he's done, because he's able to manipulate a lot of circumstances that other guys have a hard time with.
Yeah. Yep. You're right.
Brother, we can't wish you any more luck than what we've got for you right now. Truly rooting for you. Elite Series Pro Matt Herron, and final preparation days of the 2016 Classic there on Grand Lake. You guys start fishing Friday, and then what'd you say, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then you've got off, Monday, Tuesday?
Yeah, we're off Monday, Tuesday, and then we have one more final day of practice on Wednesday where we actually either have observer or marshals or media in the boat.
Yeah.
And that Wednesday practice, with everything changing, to me, that's going to be the most crucial day of practice that we're going to have.
So me, Gary, and Mike can come up here and get in the boat with you on Wednesday?
Yeah, as long as you get approved by Bass.
That might not be too easy.
As long as you got plenty of sandwiches, we're good to go.
Hey, brother, good luck, and obviously we're going to be keeping up with you as the competition starts, next Thursday?
Friday, Saturday. Yeah.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Now, 3-day event, guys. Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Okay.
Yep. A normal Elite Series event is a 4-day event. The Classic 3. I don't know why that is, but it is.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Well, congratulations for making it again.
Yeah, man. Good job.
How many of us have made it? Let's see. There's
a zero.
Carry your note. Matt Herron, appreciate you, brother.
Thank you, Matt.
Have a good one, guys.
You bet. You have a better one. Stephen Johnston sitting tight. He's ready to go. We'll talk Toledo Bend with him and some fiberglass maintenance from Lucas Oil. That's up next. Hooking up and tracking down 11:30 The Tiger.
Welcome back. This segment presented by Vicious Fishing Line, Steve Nichols, Bucks and Bulls Guides and Outfitters, and Sam Rayburn Marina Resort, where life slows down and families come together. Take it away, Gary.
And here in just a sec, we're going to talk to the...
There's like super glue on this button in here.
Yeah, okay, I'm seeing
Every
that.
single time.
Yeah.
That's called spilled Coke.
Every
keeps looking
single
at
time.
Me, he keeps looking at me like a pig looking at a watch.
Yeah, I do love watches. Super glue.
We're going to talk to Stephen Johnston. But first, a word about Stephen Johnston. Isn't that right?
That's right. Earning a great reputation as a great fishing guide is no easy task, but there's one guy who takes guiding to a whole new level. Lucas Oil Pro Stephen Johnston of Johnston's Guide Service, located on beautiful Toledo Bend, has accumulated years of professional bass fishing know-how and will educate you and show you how you can be a better angler. Go to johnstonfishing.com to schedule your next trip to Toledo Bend. Big lake, big fish, and a great experience.
And Stephen Johnston on the phone now. Boy, the fish showed up last weekend, didn't they, brother?
They did show up. They didn't show up around us, but you know, I knew they were going to catch them. You know, when you have over 350 teams in this time of the year, and
Graf counted them up a few minutes ago, and there were 18 sacks over 20 pounds.
That's it's pretty impressive. It'll just show what Toledo Bend is now. You know. Back in the day, you know, we didn't have that. And, I mean, honestly, I mean, it could have been better. I mean, the sacks were, you know, were good, but I really
31 sacks. I'm
31
sorry.
sacks.
31 sacks over. All right, now listen. In your estimation, were most of those fish up in the bushes, or were people catching them in other places? Most of the sacks, where would you say?
Most of the sacks were in the bushes, and a bunch of those fish come off a bed.
Wow.
I would not have believed it, but it warmed up so much, Wednesday and Thursday. And then Friday, about halfway through practice, I saw some buddies of mine, and they started looking. And those big females, with the full moon and all, they just ran up there. Andy Guy finished third. He looked at every one of those. I believe he had 27, right at 28, and caught another 9-pounder, but he had hooked it on the outside of the mouth. And, like the second flip in, the female bit and hooked it, but it was on the outside of the mouth, so he held it up and took a picture and sent it to me and released the fish and came back a couple hours later hoping it'd bite again, but just never did. So
wow.
But I mean, it was an unbelievable catch and all, but most of those fish, there was still there's still a lot of fish out deep. I'm not saying deep, but from 10 foot to 20 foot, that's that next wave that was coming, and that's what we keyed on. We were messing with Steve last week about the east wind, and I guess the east wind got me over the weekend, but it didn't blow out of the east; it just blew out of the south.
It's go ahead.
Also, Stephen, a testament to Toledo Bend, there were 191 limits weighed in. That to me is incredible.
It is. It just shows you what Toledo is, and one thing about it, you can talk to the guys. There was some being caught at Jolly Rogers. There was some being caught at Indian Creek at the dam. There was. It just you could see. I fished from the bridge south, and they had another tournament. Over 100 boats out of Fin and Feather, and it was just amazing the people that were spread out. I mean, there was some of us grouped up in some areas, but not really. I mean, it just shows that you can put your boat in right now anywhere on this pond, and you got a chance. You're going to catch them, and you have a chance of catching some big ones.
If you were headed to the lake right now, I mean, Stephen Johnson is going to go out there, and he's going to try to catch just a good limit of fish
after the wind quits.
Yeah.
That's the biggest deal right now. The last 2 days, it's just totally been unsafe to be out there. I mean,
I can only imagine.
We stayed off with the lightning and the rain. Thank goodness we missed a lot of the bad stuff. But today we've got lake advisories out. But one thing about Toledo, there's so many different boat ramps. You can go in, put in on the north side of Housing, or you could go in and put in Indian Mounds. You can put in at the bridge. You can put in the back of Lanane. There's so many different ramps that you can put in, but don't try to run. Put your boat in, get on the north bank, get out of the wind, take your Cinco and a Texas rig baby brush hog, and just go fishing. And you can catch them. That is for sure.
Would you think that after the water temperatures dropped, obviously the full moon's on the decline now, would you think that you would start up shallow again where they were when you left them? Or would you have to move out a little deeper?
No, I don't think it's going to drop that much. It's supposed to get in the 30s tonight and get right back up. And then this weekend's looking beautiful. The high, honestly, I just looked at it before coming on the air, and it was 70. It's like 73 to 75 on Saturday and Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
We have another system coming in on Monday. So this weekend, the people that are coming up, it looks like it's going to be another unbelievable, catch. But one thing about it, on the declining moon, it will slow some of those females down, but the females did not lay. A lot of those we've been catching, really blowed up. They're ready to get rid of them eggs. They're going to go ahead and lay with the declining moon or not.
Mm-hmm. Stephen, let's talk real quick about, I know Lucas Oil being one of your sponsors, they got some great products out there. When it comes to fiberglass maintenance, that's probably one of the things a lot of anglers kind of totally ignore. Some will take a rag, maybe wipe their boat down every once in a while, maybe wash their boat when they get home, but it's probably one of the most neglected things I see that boat owners do is they don't take care of their boats.
Yeah, honestly, and Lucas came on board in the marine industry. Lucas was founded in 1989, and they've been in the racing and all the truck oils, and they're in outboard motor oils now. It's unbelievable. But one of the biggest deals Lucas Oil did was they made 3 different products for boat detailing. What they call it's the Lucas Slick Mist series. You have a speed wax, you have a tire and trim shine, and an interior cleaner. The biggest deal is back in the day, we all used Pledge, like furniture cleaner, because that was the only thing that had any wax in it. So they took that and made a chemical mixed in with water with wax. You can spray down on your boat. You wipe it off. It's not slick. A lot of those products you can put your hand on, and it's really slick. The Slick Mist speed wax is not. You wipe your boat down, and then even after you get home, there's so much dirt on the roads around here with the loggers and stuff. Even when you get home, you don't even have to spray it back down. You can take a rag and totally go back over. And it's just not on the fiberglass. You can do it on the cowling. You can do it on your talons. It works on your trolling motor. And what it does too, it's got UV rays in it, and it also it protects from the sun. So if you do leave your boat outside from weekend to weekend, and you really don't feel like covering it, it's a big help to get that speed wax whacked down and get it cleaned up for you.
What's the name of that product again?
It's the Lucas Slick Mist series. It's called Speed Wax, and then they also make one for what they call the tire and trim.
Yeah.
So like your rub rails on your boats.
Yeah.
If you leave your rub rail out, you look at some of the boats, that sun gets on that plastic and fade. And tire and trim, you can take that and wipe it down, and it also helps protect your tires. You leave your boat outside, that sun will split and cut them tires over.
Yeah.
Well, Stephen, now that doesn't leave anything on there, like if I lean against my boat after that, because some of the products will get all over you. I mean,
it will. And what you do, you spray it on. Best thing to do, what I do on the tires, I spray it on the tires and let it set for about 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And what it'll do, it'll just bake into the tires and protect the tires on your rub rail of your boat. I spray it on a rag.
Gotcha.
Tell everybody don't spray it,
Direct.
You wind up getting some on your fiberglass, but spray it on a rag and go around and get that rubber real good.
Best places to get that stuff.
Look, Toledo Town and Tackle selling it.
Okay.
Toledo Fiberglass is selling it. So
oh, fantastic.
And get you a bottle and try it out. And I believe next week we can get all this worked out. We're going to have some giveaways starting, next Wednesday on the air, and might come from a couple of those dealers. So everybody out there, keep your ears peeled and see what we can put out there for y'all.
Hey, Stephen, what do you clean the inside of your live well with? A lot of people neglect that, but I've seen people go in and bleach the inside of their live well and then put fish in it. So what do you do?
Honestly, all I do, if you get if you're on a river, on the lakes it's not as bad, but if you're on a river or bio system, you will have kind of like a ring around the collar in there. I tell everybody, do not put any chemicals in there.
Baking soda.
Just take a regular rag, wet the rag, and just wipe it down, because anytime you put bleach and anything like that, it's definitely not good for the
I'll tell you one good thing that I've used and it hasn't affected my fish at all is those Mr. Clean magic erasers.
Correct. Yep.
Those things are phenomenal on a boat.
They are great for taking, especially after you've got some tennis shoe marks in there.
Yes.
And that, something like that. That will definitely.
That sticky worm residue left over where you lay your rod tips down on your boat.
Well, you remember when you were a kid and Mama gave you the green can of Comet?
Yeah.
And that's what you cleaned everything with?
Yeah.
That's why I use baking soda like that, because what it does, it neutralizes the acid, the lactic acid that the fish left in there. And it's got that grit just like that Comet was when you were a kid, and it'll cut anything, and you've left nothing any worse than it was. Right. In fact, you've left it better.
But the magic erasers are absolutely incredible. I mean, you just wet it and you wipe it off, and it just whatever touch it comes off, and there's no chemical. I'm like, this is incredible. Whoever invented that thing was a genius.
Okay, so we can run by Toledo Town or Toledo Fiberglass, and we can get the Lucas. Either we'd probably need both. We need the fiberglass cleaner. And then we need some of the tire treatment. Yeah. And that'll keep us detailed.
But what about the upholstery?
Well, the interior detailer is another one, too, that what that does is that just gets all of your slime and any of the blood or fish slime off there, and it also takes care of that, too. So
will it clean? Do they have anything that will clean up when you've mashed one of those green cypress balls into your carpet?
The yellow mess.
Yeah. Do they have anything that'll clear that up?
Good gosh.
I don't know on that one. I'll have to work. They make over 200 different products, so we'll see.
Well, not all of us get to fish down there all the time like you do. Some of us got to go up here and fish, the boss tournament where you got cypress balls all in your boat.
Yeah.
Right.
Stephen, we appreciate you, man.
Yeah, one other thing. Hey, Toledo being is falling, and just last weekend I cringe watching people run around, so we're about 3/4 of a foot low. So please, I know a lot of people have cut a lot of corners and run where they shouldn't have run, and they've got away with it. Aldra and Toledo Fiberglass, they will definitely fix you up. But
they will remind you to not cut that corner again.
Yeah, so just saying, everybody be safe and really get back to paying attention to them boat lanes, and we don't want anybody hurt or any of the equipment tore up.
Yeah, okay, Stephen, right. If somebody wants to get a trip in with you here before too long, what do we got to do?
You can give me a call at my home number, which is 409-579-4213, or you can look me up on the website. It's www.Johnston Fishing, and always remember it's Johnston with JOHNSTON. And take a look and be more than happy when we get you out there on the lake and show you a great time.
Stephen Johnston, thank you, brother.
Thanks, Stephen.
Thank y'all. Have a good day.
All right.
Sit tight. Our Gamakatsu topic of the day is next. If you could add any item to your boat, luxury or necessity, what would it be? We'll find out. Hook it up and track it down 11:30 The Tiger.
Once again, you're listening to the Hooking Up and Tracking Down show presented by Bayou Outdoor Supercenter, Toledo Town and Tackle, Gamakatsu Hooks, and Natchitoches Ford Lincoln, home of the 2015 North American Truck of the Year. Now back to more Hooking Up and Tracking Down with Gary McCoy, Mike Eccles, and Steve Graff.
Thanks so much for hanging out with us. We are hooking up and tracking down. I was just on promotes Graf does a live read for the CCA here.
That's right, baby. The CCA Louisiana Star. Guess what, folks? The state tournament and Anglers Rodeo is 21st year of competition. Each tournament begins on Saturday of Memorial Day weekend and lasts until Labor Day. During the competition, anglers compete for over $500,000 in cash and prizes by catching fish in the coastal waters of Louisiana or Mississippi. Star is CCA Louisiana's largest membership drive and boasts over 12,000 participants each year, but is open to all CCA members from around the country. Tournament starts May 28th and runs till September the 5th. Don't wait to enter. Enter now. Go to ccalouisiana.com to learn more about this event and to become a member of the CCA.
Oh, and don't forget now, when you jump on our website, HUTD.net, or you can go to the Facebook page and enter our Bassmasters Classic Champion Contest that we've got there. All you got to do is pick the person who wins it. They just got to come through for you and pull it off. If you have picked the same angler as someone else, then we'll have a drawing, and somebody's going to win, what do you say, $500-$600 pack? I mean, there's
over $500
cash and prizes.
Easy over.
Tell them what they've won, Johnny.
Yeah, come on down, new car.
All right, our Gamakatsu topic of the day today. If you could add any item to your boat, luxury or necessity, what would it be? Mikey.
You know, I'm old-fashioned. I can remember when the onboard chargers came out.
Oh, I do too.
And I remember thinking that if you're too lazy to carry an extension cord and a battery charger with you when you travel, you don't need to be fishing tournaments.
Yeah, buddy.
I remember that is ridiculous.
Yeah.
$300 because you're too lazy to carry a battery charger and an extension cord.
Yeah.
And now I would erupt
if you didn't have one.
If I bought a boat from a dealer and there was not an onboard charger on it. And I remember thinking the same thing when the power poles came out.
Yeah.
Thinking that has got to be the most ridiculous thing I've seen until I saw
I'm guilty too.
all the functions of the power pole.
Yeah.
Not just an anchor system while you're fishing.
Right.
But how it can save your boat at the bank, Cross Lake, American Legion.
Yeah.
No place to tie up, but you can put the power poles down just far enough off the bank that you can step off onto the rocks and get no boat damage.
Right.
Yeah. I had no idea how much I would use mine until I actually broke down and said, let me put one of these suckers on. Well, I did. I put the Talon shallow water anchor system on. My first trip to Rayburn, I stopped by Toledo Fiberglass. Al drew it, bought it from Al, put it on the boat. Boom, I go to Rayburn. And first day I had this on my boat, I pushed that button at least 10 times, and I thought, what did I do before I had this sucker? I was amazed. It amazed me how many times I actually used it. But when I used it the most, was just to change out a bait and not have to drift into the bushes or drift into the bank.
Yeah.
It kept me from moving, and I'm like, this is the greatest thing ever invented.
I was sitting here thinking about this. I would love it if my wife would fish with me more often. I would love it if she'd just go out there. She didn't even have to fish. She'd just go out there. The problem is she won't go because if she's got to pee.
Well, that's why item number 1's on here.
Oh, you've got okay. All right. I didn't realize that you had some suggestions. I thought we were coming up with stuff.
Well, we are, but these are some of the ones I came.
I just think that if there was a toilet lid on the live well,
backsplash
on the live well, you could. It was a double lid.
There you go.
You raise them both up when you want to.
Yeah, your backsplash alters as a bathroom.
I think Julie might would go then because it's kind of hidden.
Yeah.
But she will just not. She's just not. I ain't peeing. No.
She won't do that.
No.
What?
No, not.
I thought she was a country girl.
No.
No.
Far from.
Really?
She lives in the country now.
Oh.
I mean, her idea of roughing it is poor room service.
Well, back to the original question, I don't have an answer. I don't know. I mean, I think that two of the greatest things they've come up with was the onboard chargers and the power poles. Mm-hmm. And as far as luxury or necessity, I still go back to say that the number one most important thing on a bass boat, the number one, is a troll motor.
Oh, yeah. I agree with that.
I'm going to tell you there's something more important than that.
Because everything else on the boat can break down when you launch.
Yeah.
And if the troll motor works, you can fish the day.
Yeah.
You can fish.
I'm going to tell you there's something way more important than that. The plug.
Well,
I'm just telling you. Hey, my boat, this new Triton 21, I don't have to worry about it. TRX 21, it's got a little lever on the back. I don't have to worry about whether I've lost the plug, I knocked it out, or anything. All I got to do is reach up there and hit a little button, and it pulls it in or pushes it out. That's the greatest thing I've ever seen. I don't have to think about that.
Yeah.
Is it in or out?
Well,
period.
When you get a big boy boat like Ranger, you can not have to have the plug in, still fish all day.
Oh, I can still fish. But the fact remains that when you come down to it, the most important thing that you could have on a boat is a safety feature, whatever that be.
Okay, we're talking luxury items here. I'm gonna give you my list.
Okay, go.
Number 1's bathroom. Number 2 be a grill. I want a pop-up grill.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 3, underwater video camera would come in handy.
Yeah.
Number 4, mini microwave. I can put my little Pop Tart
in there.
Yeah, hot pocket in there. Have a little hot lunch. Number 5, built-in Yeti ice chest.
Yeah.
That would be nice.
You know what?
Yeti. Most ice chests in most boats are not very good. Now, I will say this about my Ranger.
Yeah.
It is outstanding. I have one of the better ones.
I'm just wondering which one, Triton or Ranger, which one's going to jump up first and get that
Yeti?
That Yeti.
Built-in Yeti?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
Number 6, retractable pop-up pedestal seats.
Uh-huh.
They just go in and out of the floorboard, come pop right up when you need them.
Yeah.
Water cooling system for the live well.
Ooh.
That is something I really think
like a refrigerated line, copper lines.
Something that's got like a copper liner on the inside that you can run through your actual water cooler.
You know what? If you can have instant hot water, which they make those.
Yeah, they do.
Why couldn't you have?
That's my thought.
An instant That's, you know what, Steve? You might be on to something.
Oh,
They've got them.
They do have them.
Called a bag of
ice.
God almighty.
Now, I want something built in.
I like your last one there.
Yeah, number 8, 2 built-in thermocell units throughout the boat.
Why do you want 2?
One for the front, one for the back.
Okay, all right.
You know.
That way you're protected.
Protect my wife in the back. And
Okay,
in the
gotcha.
front, so.
Yeah. Well, why don't your wife just stay at home with my wife, and they can go to the bathroom together.
There you go.
well, if you talk about your ice chest, built-in ice chest in the boats. I was actually part of a study years ago where there was a Skeeter boat and a Ranger boat pulled to Lake of the Pines.
Mm-hmm.
Identical boats. I mean, money-wise.
Sure.
They stopped at a store. They went inside and got
2 12-packs
of Cokes.
Okay. Yeah.
Of Cokes.
Okay.
Equal ice.
Yeah.
Put them in the live wells.
Right.
I mean, in the ice chest.
Yeah.
Everything equal, and then went out on the water side by side for 4 or 5 hours, and then came back and measured the amount of ice that was still in there to try to see who had the better
gotcha.
ice chest, and to try to improve their products.
Okay.
It was a good deal. I mean, seriously.
And
I forgot.
Oh,
I was in the boat.
Take us all the way to the brink and then just stop.
Well, I was in the boat that had the beer, so I don't remember what happened.
I'm going to say this: the boat I have is a 09.
Yeah.
On the Z520 boat, which is what I've got.
Yeah.
It's a 20-foot boat. My cooler is in front of my console.
Yeah.
The new boats, they have moved the cooler to the step up.
That's where that's where mine is on that TRX 21.
Guys that have the step up have told me where my cooler is at in my boat is 3 times better than the step up.
I disagree.
Well, it is because it's better insulated.
You're wrong.
It's better insulated.
You're just wrong.
Okay, well, I'm just telling you.
You're just wrong.
I'm sorry you got a bad boat.
God love you. When you grow up and get you a new one.
Did you notice that all the items that I think we've discovered the problem. All the items that Graf won't has to do with cooking or eating or taking a
There you go. That's right.
Now we know how much time he does not spend actually fishing or thinking about fishing.
You know what I would say? That blasted new trolling motor, I don't know if you've got one of those with the anchoring system and all that kind of stuff on there. That's the way to go.
Trolling motor.
Yeah, the trolling motor that's got the anchoring system, and the remote control, the whole 9 yards. My cousin Wayne Barry's got one on his boat.
You're talking about one that keeps you on the spot.
Yeah, and I mean, it'll retrace your course.
Yeah, Johnny's got one.
That is, and literally, you tell that thing if you're maybe you're down on Toledo Bend and you're fishing the river, and you've been throwing a mud bug up there at around Huxley Bay or something, and you say I want to stay right here.
Yeah, you can waypoint it.
You push that spot.
You push the waypoint
literally,
button.
it will not let you get more than 10 feet away from that spot. And I don't care how bad the wind is.
Right.
The only way you get away is if your batteries die.
Yep, that's true.
And
that is a great deal.
That's one. And the guy that does the commercial that you see online on occasion, he's able to launch the boat himself.
Yeah.
And he's got the remote control in his hand and then drops the trolling motor and pulls it over to the. Yeah.
Did I tell you my first bass tournament, Randy Fair, what I did?
What?
This is like 1990. First bass tournament I ever had. I didn't know what you brought for lunch. Well, I stop at the gas station and I get a box lunch.
Yeah.
And I bring it out in the boat, and I've got fried chicken, I got mashed potatoes and gravy, I got green beans. I pull that sucker out about 11:30, and I open that lid, and Fair looks at me like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah, what are you?
I'm fixing to eat lunch. He said, "You're the only guy I know who brings a box lunch to a fishing tournament." Hey, I ate good that day, though. I enjoyed that lunch.
We're hooking up and tracking down. We'll wrap things up, get out of your hair in just a few. Sit tight. It's 11:30, The Tiger.
Welcome back to the final segment presented by Louisiana Charter Boats, Cypress Knee Outdoors, and Toledo Fiberglass, your fiberglass repair headquarters for the Arklatex. Speaking of repairs, these guys just can't be fixed. Here's Steve, Gary, and the one and only Mike Eccles.
I don't know, maybe y'all weren't fixed. I got fixed. Julie made sure that I got fixed. It happened. Hey,
did you have anything left over?
Yeah, not much. Here's Steve Nichols, Bucks and Bulls, best times to fish this weekend. Ready to be good to fair as nighttime temperatures drop back down into the 30s this weekend. Daytime highs in the low 60s. Moon elimination expected to decrease each day from 91 to 77%. This could be the beginning of the spring spawn with a combination of the full moon and warm nightly temperatures. Friday, 1:50 until 4:50 p.m. Sunrise 6:43, sunset 6:07. Saturday 2:33 to 5:33, sunrise at 6:42, sunset 6:08, and then Sunday 3:17 to 6:17 p.m. with a sunrise at 6:41, sunset 6:09. Thank you, Steve Nichols, Bucks and Bulls.
Yes, Candyman Pet Lodge tip of the week. We've all heard horror stories of a dog having to be rushed to the yard to have his stomach pumped, or we know of a person whose pup has passed a foreign object and was back to normal immediately afterwards. What should you do if your dog eats something that he shouldn't? Should you take him to the vet or wait to see if it passes it? Take your pet to a vet if you see the following signs that your pet ate something foreign or toxic. Number one, the first sign would be vomiting. Number two, painful abdomen. Number three, lack of appetite. Number four, acts a little lethargic. Number five, changes in typical behavior. And the final one, changes in bowels and diarrhea, constipation, etc. If your normal vet is unavailable, call the 24-hour emergency animal clinic and describe the situation. According to doctors of veterinary medicine, the best measure is to allow the professionals to properly assess the situation. Owners should not wait to see if the object will pass on its own. Do not try to induce vomiting without a veterinarian's okay, as there are some foreign bodies that can cause just as much harm coming back out. This has been your Candyman Pet Lodge tip of the week. Go to CandymanPetLodge.com to check out the newest kennel in our area.
I disagree.
All right.
I disagree.
You're an animal. You got a dog.
Yeah,
What?
I mean, and we've talked about this before, but I want to remind people because I actually was able to save my dog's life. Rat poison. Getting into rat poison. My dog got into rat poison in the barn, storage barn up in Arkansas where we hunt, and ate it because he's a dummy sometimes. And Joey Hood immediately looked it up on the Googled on the phone, hydrogen peroxide. I went across the street to a store and bought a bottle of hydrogen peroxide, about 2 tablespoons down the throat, and within a matter of minutes, the dog threw up the chunks of rat poison. Would have killed him had we not done it.
Wow. So you couldn't have waited for even
No.
a 24-hour vet.
Oh,
I mean,
no,
you had to
no,
make a
no.
decision right now.
Yeah.
So you're not disagreeing with calling the vet. You're just disagreeing that there's
Well,
times
I'm
when
disagreeing
you need
when they say no. And there are some things that you don't want a dog to aspirate on.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with that. But if a dog needs to get something out of its system, it's probably going to be something you can't wait hours to get to the vet.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Now, my grandfather showed me something a long time ago when it comes to those dogs. He always said that they say you can't cure distemper. That when a dog gets distemper, you can't cure it. And he showed me back then, I don't know if you could even find it now, but if you would get a piece of camphor gum, which they made camphofenique out of, if you got a piece of camphor gum about the size of the last knuckle of your pinky, and you put that down that dog's throat, that it would drive them to the point to where they were so hungry and thirsty that they would eat, and it would actually cure distemper. And you could talk to a vet until you're blue in the face about that. They'll tell you, no, that's not true, da-da-da. But I've watched it happen with several different dogs that had gone through that.
Just a little update as to what's coming up here in our area. Louisiana ABA Ram Truck Open Series Tournament number 1 will be held this weekend on Toledo Bend out of Cypress Bend Park. It's this Saturday. Bassmaster Classic, of course, starts next week, March 4th through the 6th at Grand Lake, Oklahoma. Boss Tournament Trail, March the 5th. The next lake is Lake Bistineau State Park. H&W Tournament Trail, March 19th. Also, Louisiana State High School Bass Fishing Championship. All you youngsters out there, March the 25th and 26th. 26th the day of the event. 25th is registration. It'll take place on Sibley Lake in Natchez. I'll have more detail on that next week as to the meeting, which will be at Northwestern State University. Give you more detail at that time. And the ABA Southeast Texas Division, March 26th, will also be on Toledo Bend out of Fin and Feather. And then the Walmart BFL will take place on Sam Rayburn. The next one, April the 2nd at Humphrey Pavilion. So,
a little point of information, the Boss Tournament Trail on Bistino, for the last 3 or 4 years, we've made the upper end of Bistino above the Dorcheap Bridge and the bar pit area off limits. There's a private property issue. We're starting to go through that on several waterways. So I have put the bar pits off limits, all the bar pits and above the Dorcheap Bridge. Somebody told me last night that they were that the bar pits were no longer posted. I do not know that that's true, and so if anybody's listening, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, still off limits.
It's still off limits. Yeah. Even if it is something that has happened in the last few days, they've opened it back up. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. It still will remain off limits. That's
the three of us have all fished tournaments where the host side of the tournament would declare their marina off limits.
Right. Yeah.
That doesn't mean it was against the law. You just couldn't fish there. The tournament told you in advance.
Right.
This water is off limits.
And another point I want to make, I always have somebody say, "Well, that's not in the rules." Okay, there's no way that you can come up with a set of rules that covers all
bodies of water
possible scenarios that can come up.
Right.
And I'm quoting Chris Bowes, BASS. It is not my responsibility to tell you where you practice is off limits. It's your responsibility to know that where you're fishing is legal fishing water.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So to any anglers out there, yes, maybe that's not in the rules.
Mm-hmm.
It's still your responsibility to know where you're fishing is off limits or not.
Right.
Well, you know what? Now, as we're preparing, because next week will be the show as the Bassmaster Classic is about to begin. I mean, we'll be on the air 2 days before the Classic competition actually begins. And who better to have on the show? Way to go, Graf.
Hey.
Graf set this up. We are going to have legendary Larry Nixon on the show with us.
The general.
Telling us, exactly what he would be doing if he were there to compete.
Has Nixon been on Major League?
I have not.
That would be. You would think that would be like his format.
It is. It is. He's known to be the person that can figure it out faster than anybody, and I've just wondered whether he's ever been on Major League. That's okay.
We'll ask him.
When he calls me tonight, I'll ask him.
Okay, yeah.
When he's over drinking coffee.
Yeah.
Just don't forget that now. Next week we're going to do that, and of course,
we got Bob Seeley coming up before too long.
Yeah, they've got their first tournament at Lake Guntersville, but when they get close to us, April 22nd, 23rd, 24th on Sam Rayburn, and then Bob Seeley's going to be at Toledo Bend May 20th, 21st, 22nd.
How'd you like to be on stage with Bob on April 1st, April Fool's Day? You think he would mess with somebody? I'd be leery of going up on stage with Bob that day.
I'll stay down here. You just tell everybody what we got to know.
Next week, we're also supposed to have the president of Strike King Lure Company. John Barnes.
Cool.
Oh, wow.
We're getting big time.
Yeah.
Hey, we're going to make him famous.
Yeah.
He ought to send us a check after next week's show. What do you think? A couple of other things to remember. Thanks again to Mark Gennert, National Director of the Bass Fishing Federation, with his report for us on the high school bass fishing.
And the high school tournament this Saturday on Cypress Lake.
Cypress Lake, and Mike's going to be doing the weigh-in for that. Those anglers, who should they call if they need any questions answered?
Charles Hogg's the only one I know, or Donnie Westmoreland.
5 seconds.
All right, our final word for today. With so many opportunities for young anglers these days, it's important to recognize the people who have the biggest impact on these young anglers' careers, their mom and dad. No one will have more influence and provide more opportunity both emotionally and financially than their parents. If you're one of the lucky youngsters out there who have this level of support, congratulations. Because today there are so many parents who don't take the time to put their kids first. They make excuses and look for reasons to keep their kids from being successful, usually due to their own selfishness. Today we salute the parents that put their kids above everything else in order to make sure they develop the skills and confidence necessary to be successful in life and in their fishing career. Till next week, stay safe. May God bless till we meet again with more Hooking Up and Tracking Down.
Amen.